This is a presentation on structuralism derived from two books on literary theory, Rivkin and Ryan's Anthology and Ryan's Practical Introduction. Structuralism emerged from the pioneering work of Ferdinand de Saussure. Saussure viewed language as a frozen system with an implied order, comparable to a leaf cut transversely to see what lies underneath its surface. This implied order encompasses the entire language system underlying any spoken utterance. Structuralism expanded beyond that, the field of linguistics, to fields such as anthropology, philosophy, and literary criticism. Roman Jakobson, an influential formalist, played a key role in shaping French structuralism, focusing on comprehending the internal systems and orders that govern linguistic, cultural, and literary phenomena. Another influential thinker is Claude Lévi-Strauss, who applied structuralism to anthropology, perceiving culture as a system characterized by an internal order. This order serves to maintain stability and coherence while allowing cultural evolution. Lévi-Strauss emphasized kinship systems and marriages as a form of communication, highlighting their role in diminishing conflicts. He also looked at how myths revealed a common underlying structure despite their heterogeneity, functioning as narratives that resolved contradictions within a culture. For example, the various versions of the Oedipus myth addressed the conflict between the idea of humans emerging from Earth and the concept of birth from other humans. Saussure's contribution to structuralism includes the concept of the linguistic sign. According to Saussure, words are signs consisting of a signifier, or the sound itself, and a signified, or the idea, or the concept behind it. So, for example, the signifier tree, or arb, or shajara refer to the idea or the concept of a tree, the signified. The two combined, signifier and signified, compose the sign itself, the linguistic sign. Ronald Barthes further explored the study of signs or semiotics in literature and culture. He observed that various cultural elements such as films, commodities, events, images derive meaning through their association with specific signs. Through semiological analysis, Barthes examined the ways in which signs function to create meaning in different contexts. On another front, Svetlana Todorov's work connecting French structuralism with Russian formalism focuses on narrative analysis as a common organizing element among diverse examples. His studies highlighted narrative structures such as the presence of the missing center in Henry James's tales. In the mid-1960s, structuralism became the dominant intellectual school in France. Notable figures such as Michel Foucault, Jacques Lacan, Julia Kristeva, and Louis Althusser contributed to its influence. Foucault, for instance, explored the role of language in conceptual frameworks and the formations of discourses. Foucault's work emphasized the changes in knowledge and language throughout history. He introduced the concept of discursive formations, discourses, which are coherent sets of assumptions and language practices that apply to specific domains of knowledge or express the beliefs of specific people. These formations shape our understanding and construction of the world. Foucault's study encompasses the history of sexuality and the evolution of regimes of social discipline. He highlighted how language mediated knowledge and perception, showcasing the influence of linguistic practices on our understanding and experience of reality. I will now provide a brief structural reading of Shakespeare's play King Lear and Fitzgerald's novel The Great Gatsby as a practical application of the theory. In looking at William Shakespeare's play King Lear, we can read the play as a collection of signs that draw upon codes of meaning specific to the work itself or rooted in the cultural context of the era. The events and actions within the play hold significance within both the play's structure and the societal codes of the time. For example, the opening scene of King Lear introduces several significant elements. We witness a king dividing his kingdom and bestowing it upon his daughters. The daughters, in return for this piece of kingdom, profess their love. However, one daughter refuses to play along, leading to her banishment. This sparks a chain of events, including the objection of a loyal courtier that we see in this scene where Kent calls on Lear to beware of what might look like Lear being mad.
The bow is bent and drawn, make from the shaft.
Fall rather than a fork invade the region of my heart. Be Kent unmannerly when Lear is mad. What wouldst thou do, old man? Dost think that duty shall have dread to speak when power to flattery bows? To plainness honour's bound when majesty falls to folly. Reserve thy state, and in thy best consideration check thy hideous rashness.
Yet he reminds Lear to watch out for when his majesty stoops to folly and to check his hideous rashness, which is then followed by the king's offer to the rejected daughter to her suitors, concluding with the revelation of the sisters' plot against their father. To comprehend the significance of the opening scene and other events, it's crucial to consider the cultural context of England in 1606. At that time, England was a monarchy, and the king's principal support stemmed from the aristocracy, who held immense wealth in land ownership. Consequently, the act of dividing and giving away land would have been perceived as an act of madness, questioning the king's judgment and trustworthiness. Additionally, in a Christian society where personal virtue was highly valued, the daughters' avid pursuit of land would have reflected negatively upon them, contrasting them with the virtue of renunciation. As we examine the play further, we encounter characters and narrative structures that hold deeper symbolism. The actions and statements of characters like Goneril, Regan, and Edmund provide insights into their virtue or lack of. We see here, for example, Edmund plotting against his legitimate brother Edgar.
Well then, legitimate Edgar, I must have your land. Our father's love is to the bastard Edmund as to the legitimate. Fine word, legitimate. Well, my legitimate, if this letter speed and my invention thrive, Edmund the base shall top the legitimate. I grow, I prosper. Now, gods, stand up for bastards.
The letter he's referring to is, of course, his own invention, used to plot against his brother. In contrast, Edgar emerges as a paragon of virtue, as we see in Act 5 when he disguises himself as poor Tom to help his father. Moreover, the narrative structure of King Lear follows a traditional pattern of life, death, and rebirth, progressing from power to loss of power and eventual restoration. This structure held significant meaning for the audiences of that time. In Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby, the novel is replete with signs that serve also as powerful symbols. From cars and clothing to modes of speech, these signs capture the essence of the story. One particular sign stands out, the old forgotten billboard advertising Dr. Eckelberg's optometry business. This is part of the explanation of the billboard, and I'm reading from the quote shown on the screen now. Above the grey land, you perceive the eyes of Dr. Eckelberg, a pair of enormous spectacles, set there to flatten his practice, then sank down himself, or forgotten them and moved away. The billboard evokes an older culture of moral oversight that is mentioned at the outset of the novel, but soon forgotten. It signifies the abandonment of the once dominant Protestant moral government by the wealthy elite who now dominate the America of the 1920s. As we delve into the world of The Great Gatsby, we encounter Tom and Daisy Buchanan, representatives of the old money, hyper-wealthy class. They shatter Jay Gatsby's dreams of social ascension and epitomize a lack of what Nick calls the fundamental decencies. They betray one another casually and harm others without remorse. Their pursuit of pleasure and privilege is paramount, while leaving in a trail of broken dreams and lives in their wake. It is through these characters that Fitzgerald explores the moral decline of the era. Fitzgerald presents a stark contrast between Tom and Daisy Buchanan's old money world and Jay Gatsby's new money realm. The old money society, dominated by English and Scottish descendants, upheld propriety and clung to the staid nobility of their ethnic background. Names like Buchanan and Sloane served as markers of their exclusive social group. In contrast, Gatsby represents the newly rich, like Dan Cody, who acquired wealth in the post-Civil War economy. Gatsby's parties are a melting pot of ethnic and professional diversity, challenging the traditional norms of the old money elite. As we explore the narrative of The Great Gatsby, the question arises, is it a redemption story? At the beginning, Nick endorses a moral value system he calls the fundamental decencies. He sees Gatsby as possessing these qualities despite his involvement in criminal activities which presented everything that Nick scorned. In this world, where characters like Tom and Daisy embody moral decay, Gatsby's narrative tests the boundaries of decency. Tom engages in adultery and orchestrates the death of a man involved with Daisy, while Daisy pursues her affair based on material wealth. Amidst this scarcity of decency, Nick stands out as a contrasting figure. The structure of The Great Gatsby features paired scenes that shed light on the characters and themes. Two hotel scenes, one depicting Tom's affair with Myrtle and the other Daisy's affairs with Gatsby, expose the hypocrisy, amorality, and brutality with Tom and Daisy's world. In contrast, the scenes between Nick and Gatsby delve into the novel's themes more positively. Gatsby's past is shrouded in lies initially, but as truth unfolds, he comes across as a figure of complexity and allure. The narrative's beginning and ending emphasize Nick's embodiment of these fundamental decencies and the rarity of such virtues in this world of moral ambiguity, which reminds us of the decencies we saw previously in Cordelia in Shakespeare's play. In conclusion, structuralism, with its focus on the implied order, linguistic sign, and discourse analysis, has revolutionized our understanding of language, culture, and literature. Through the works of influential figures like Saussure, Lévi-Strauss, Barthes, and Foucault, structuralism has paved the way for critical examination of the underlying structures that shape diverse cultural phenomena. Its impact can be seen in our analysis of these two works, King Lear and The Great Gatsby. In King Lear, structuralism allowed us to understand the play as a collection of signs drawing upon codes of meaning specific to the work itself and the societal context of the 1606 England. Through this lens, significant events and character symbolism take on heightened importance, shedding light on the implication of power, virtue, and societal norms. Similarly, in The Great Gatsby, structuralism unveils the power of signs and symbols throughout the novel. The examination of cultural codes embedded in objects, clothing, and speech provides a deeper understanding of the moral decline and social class distinctions present in 1920s America.